Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be about FSRealistic Plus. So we'll start with what FSRealistic Plus really is, then we'll get into the user interface part of it, and then in the end I will be demonstrating all the camera and sound effects that FSR Plus has to offer. In return, I need one thing and one thing only from you guys. Please leave a like on the video, please subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any future content, and make sure you leave a comment on what you think about this add-on or any question. We'll be happy to answer, and I'm sure RK Apps will also be happy to answer any of your questions that you might have. So starting off with what FSR Plus really is. FSR Plus is the next gen evolution of the FSRealistic family, completely rebuilt from ground up to deliver a deeper and more modern immersive experience in Msfs 2024. It features 37 plus carefully crafted realistic effects, each designed to enhance the overall flight realism. FSRealistic Plus does not replace existing sounds or camera movements. Instead, it fills in that missing gap that was always there, which stops us from having that truly believable experience. It's not about a single standout effect, but about a synergy of all the effects working together and creating that nice immersive flight experience which was always missed. If you've taxied or taken off in Msfs, you would know that it feels very flat. There's no vibrations to the engine, there's no vibrations in the cockpit, there's no like touchdown impact effect and stuff like that, and FSR Plus is here to fill that gap. Whether you're flying GA, airliners, helicopters, fighter jets, you will see that everyone will be served with some or the other effect that will enhance your flying. So FSR Plus includes predefined profiles to give you an easy optimized starting point already right out of the box, but then you'll be surprised to see that there is a lot of granular control available to you in case you want to tune it to your liking. Okay, so now let's knock off some of the most important points that the team would like you to know. FSR Plus requires chase plane by parallel 42 in order to work. So it will not work without chase plane. It's more like an add-on for chase plane. FSR Plus is currently working only on Msfs 2024. So if you're still a 2020 user, you can skip this one. There'll be more updates from the team later. And also, FSR Pro users are eligible for a discount via the store they bought it from. Okay, once released, it may take up to 1 to 5 days until the other stores will list out FSR Plus, so then you can use the discount code on the other stores as well. But if you have bought it from the RK App Store, I believe you can just use that discount code right away on day one. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give any pricing information or not, so I'll skip that, but if I'm allowed to, I'll leave that in the comments down below. Now the other thing that people would have questions on is what's the difference between FSRealistic Plus versus FSRealistic Pro. There are some of the key differences that I would like to mention. Pro uses stereo audio while FSR Plus uses spatial audio. Pro camera access is only in the Y and Z, while FSR Plus uses X, Y, Z, and then yaw, pitch, and roll. And you'll know some of this as we demo through the effects. Pro uses a Windows desktop app, while FSR Plus is an Msfs in-game panel. Pro includes Profiles Cloud. FSR Plus adds Auto Profile Backup and Sounds Cloud. I'll just briefly explain. Sounds Cloud is basically giving the community the freedom to upload any sounds for any effect, and then it's giving the users the freedom to download those sounds. So see it as real pilots can now record sounds from the real airplanes and upload it as a file, and then we'll be able to enjoy that immersive experience by just downloading off of the sounds clouds. That's really powerful. That's one of the most powerful things I feel there is about this add-on. And then the last difference, like I've already mentioned, Pro does not support chase plane while FSR Plus does. In fact, it works with chase plane to enhance what chase plane has to offer. So now with those important points out of the way, I am going to jump right into the UI and show you guys where things are situated in FSR Plus. Let's jump right in. Okay, so in this section of the video, I'm going to go over the user interface and show you guys where things are so that when you first spawn in with FSR Plus, you will know how to get things situated. By the way, first of all, extremely well done on the user interface. It's very clean, sleek, user-friendly, easy to understand. So I really love that. Chase plane has that too, and FSR Plus is no different. Now, You have three main tabs: effects, profile, and settings. Under effects, you can switch between all the effects. You can switch to only the enabled effects for this airplane, and you can switch to just the disabled effects for this airplane. Now under each effect you will have camera tab, sound tab, and chase plane tab. So going over the camera tab first, I'll take ground roll as an example. You have presets for camera tab, so in case you want the ground roll to be wild, stiff, balanced, loose, depending on whether you're flying GA or an airliner. So every effect would have a different setup, and what I want you to take away from this is camera tab will basically have granular control over the camera effects, and what kind of control you have will depend on what effect it is. For example, on, let's say, the flap drag, you'll have control over the wobble and vibration. On the ground roll, you will have control over a ton of things: smoothness, intensity, how the airplane jitters around, which direction it moves, and whatnot. So it basically gives you a lot of freedom to tune things to your liking and the way it would look realistic for you. Same way, you have sound tab, where you can select what kind of sound you want to add for each of these effects. There are different presets available, and then you can also set up the volume. It can get really loud, so you would want to test the effect and then set the volume accordingly. There is a master on and off button for that effect, so if you want to turn it off, you would turn it off from here for this airplane, and then when it is on, you can always just test it out so that you can see it come into effect live, and then you can stop testing from here. So that's what the test button does. And while you're testing, you can always just adjust things. And then the last tab is the chase plane tab, which allows you to apply these effects on different camera categories that chase plane has. So for example, for ground roll, I have applied it to all the internal cameras, whether it be human, mounted, floating, chase, or orbit. Doesn't matter, I've applied it to all the internal cameras. So all of these effects will apply to my cabin views, my pilot views, pilot instrument views, stuff like that. You can selectively apply if, let's say, if it's a mounted camera, which a pilot instrument camera would be, and you don't want the camera to be wobbling around, you can always turn this to 0, and that's that. So very easy to understand. That's how the camera, sound, and chase plane tabs work for each of these effects. The next one is the profile tab, where you have a master switch to turn all the effects on and off. Very easy again. You have copy from profile, which allows you to copy from any profile that you would see on the community. Reset to defaults. In case you have fiddled around too much with something, you can always just reset it all to default. And then if you want to share your own profile to the cloud, which can appear here for specific airplanes, that you can do that as well. Cockpit door offset. This setting applies only to the aircrafts with cabin doors. For example, these airliners would have this. And by the way, the audio is spatial, so as you move around your head in the cockpit, you will see that the cockpit ambience audio changes as you move around your head. It's kind of like 3D audio. And I can tell you, I'm wearing my headphones right now, and sometimes I have to look back because the door opens in the sim, and I feel like my room door is opening. So the sound quality is amazing. So just a comment about that. And you will be able to set the cockpit door offset value to hear these cabin sounds accurately when you load. So all you have to do is just turn the volume to 0, and it will give you all the instructions to set it up correctly. Now moving on to the settings tab. Again, this is just to make sure that everything is connected correctly. Like I mentioned initially in the intro, that you do need chase plane for this. This is more like chase plane on steroids. It just completely amplifies what chase plane has to offer. So remember that all three of these should be green. And then you have options to select your output device, master volume, in case you want to control volume of all the effects through this master volume tab. And then if you want to disable some effects for all the airplanes, like for example, I have disabled afterburner, airflow noise, and I believe flap drag and stress, because I want to use the airplane sounds and effects for that. So you can disable that from here. And then announce connection. Everything is very self-explanatory. It's nothing that I should be going over here. But yeah, that's pretty much the UI of the add-on, and like I said before, extremely well done, extremely good job on the UI. Okay, so in this part of the video I'll be showing you guys some of the sound effects and camera effects that you can expect from this add-on. So I'll start with the engine off and review some of the effects that we can review with the engine off. One of them is cockpit ambience. This is something I really like. So when the engines are off, you will hear some creaks and cracks and papers folding away, doors closing and opening. I'll let you hear that for a while. So you get the point. Bags getting placed, stuff like that. I like to leave it at maybe like 20 or so. I think it gives a really nice atmosphere to the cockpit. And again, I'm sure there'll be real world pilots who upload their sound sets here. That's the most powerful thing, is if you click on this green arrow here, a green pencil there, you can here upload your own sound set. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of real world pilots who will record sounds in the cockpit and upload it here, and then you'll be able to download those sound sets. That's a really powerful thing. I think this whole add-on, I feel like, is a structure, and community is going to make this into something really big. It will definitely be taken to the next level when this is opened up to real world pilots for them to record and put their sounds in here. So that's what I'm really waiting for. But just by default, the sounds are amazing. Like I said before, right, I have to look back in my room if a door opened or something, because I can hear a door open in the sim, and the sound is just so spatial and 3D that I feel like a door opened in my room. So yeah, anyway, so that's one of the effects that I wanted to show while we are parked here. Another one is breathing. This you might be familiar with if you guys have used FSRealistic or FSRealistic before. It's just a subtle pilot head movement signifying that the pilot is actually breathing. Again, this one I like to leave it at maybe like 15 or 20. That's good enough. It gives a nice dynamic movement but doesn't overdo it. And then the one effect that the team is actually really proud of is turbulence. I'm gonna hit the test button there so that it starts the effect. You can see the camera wobble in turbulence is very realistic. Like, I've flown Cessna 172s in real life, and this is exactly how turbulence feels. So that's really cool. I love this. I absolutely love this. So it basically reads turbulence variables from the sim and applies this camera and sound effect. Again, all super adjustable. You can adjust the volume of the airflow noise and the rattle, and then you can also adjust sensitivity to turbulence and the intensity of the movements that you would want. So a lot of freedom here, and a very cool high quality sound effect and also camera movement. Okay, so now I have the engine on. I wanted to show you guys some of these other effects. So one of them is engine blast. Let me turn this off, and if you go to external view, you can hear that the engine sounds just normal. Maybe let me go to so you can hear that engine blast behind your engines in the external view. That's a very cool thing. I'm gonna leave that on. So if you're standing at the beach at TNCM, and if an airplane is taking off, you will actually hear the airplane, whooshing and taking off. So it's that low rumble that was missing is now added with this engine blast effect. Another thing is engine motion. Now this is something I'll have to demonstrate with parking brakes off, and let me zoom in and just watch this glass shield here, okay, as I ramp up the engine. Do you see that? So the camera movements here are linked to the engine RPM changes. both while accelerating and decelerating. It adds this nice jittering, vibrating movements. I'll do it again. Look at that. It just makes everything feel so alive. So that's basically engine motion. And there's the other one, which is ground roll. So for this one, let me zoom in just a little bit, not too much. So ground roll, you have different presets. If you want stiff, stiff is something you would use for like airliners. Balanced also you can use for airliners, I think, if you just want a little bit wilder movements. Maybe for demonstrations I'll go to loose, and I'll turn it off first. So if you turn it off, you see how everything is just so still and there's no movements at all, right, when you're rolling on the ground. Now as soon as I turn it on, you see how there's this little bumps and, you know, constant camera movement as you move through the tarmac. Amazing, right? So this is wild if you want it really wild. Maybe on a General Aviation airplane. And then this is stiff. So if you want subtle movements, I think this is what I would leave it on if you were to fly an airliner. And then this is balanced if you want something that's in between stiff and loose. So this is another really cool effect that was missing, and now it has gotten added with FSR Plus. You also have more control over these effects now. There's another one which is airflow noise. This is something I'll leave it off, but I'll just show you guys I'll just let you guys hear the noise just with the test button. So it adds this low end rumble that was missing with the airflow noise. But again, some of these presets that you'll find are similar in, let's say, gear drag. If you go to sounds in gear drag, you will see that you have the same sound presets. It just gets enabled with different conditions or at different phases of the flight, right? So I'm not gonna cycle through all of them. I just wanted to show you guys some important ones. And then there's also little bumps. That is one effect which happens only when you're passing over taxiway edge lights and stuff like that. So you would hear this little bump. Now I don't have edge lights here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just show you guys how it looks like and sounds like with the test function. So it adds this really nice subtle movement, and of course I've turned up the intensity a little bit just to show you guys, but you can tune it to your liking. And then while we are taking off, let me just review stuff that you want to look for. So one of the things that you want to look for while we are taking off is head anticipation. So in the direction where the airplane is going, the camera gradually moves ahead of the pilot input to simulate natural head movement in that direction. So that's one thing that I want you to look for when we take off and take a turn from here. The other one is control lean. So in whichever direction you are tilting your controls, the camera will kind of mimic pilot's natural body and head movement and lean towards that direction. So that's one. Those are the two, and then obviously you will also see the engine vibrations and like the braking impact and ground roll effects and all of that as we take off. So everything will kind of come together. I'll also demonstrate cabin panic, cabin chatter, all of that as we get into the air. So yeah, let's just get going and explore some of these other effects that we might have missed out. Okay, so we're gonna take off from here and I'll let you enjoy all the effects and sounds and stuff. There's the engine vibrations.
$80.
there's the head wobble.
Positive rate.
Ignore my flying. Just ignore my flying for this one video. So you'll see that when I'm putting in control inputs, like for example, if I push up, you'll see that
Airspeed low. Airspeed low.
So I also demonstrated the stall buffeting sound, which is that low rumble that you got, and along with the rattle. Now you'll see that as I, let's say I'm pulling up, okay, you'll see how the camera just kind of subtly moves up, and then same way when I push down, the camera subtly moves down. It's amazing how dynamic this is. And then if I'm turning, you will see that the camera subtly turns in that direction. Now you can obviously make this aggressive, make it really aggressive, and then it'll basically the camera will follow the direction you're turning, but you wouldn't want that because you still want to keep the visibility of your PFD. Again, you will see that as I'm moving my control inputs, you will see how the camera movements are just so dynamic. Okay, now, while I was not trying to, I also demonstrated the cabin panic. So if you do something crazy like this,
bank angle.
you will hear your passengers screaming. And then what else? We have lavatory flush, which you can set the probability of it, cockpit filter and stuff like that. Pilot stress is just pilot screaming, and I can show you guys this one as well.
Bank angle.
That's how pilot stressing out sounds like. And then you have flap drag and stress. Again, those are similar sounds as you've seen for the airflow noise, but you can always just tune the camera movements to your liking for both of them. We are going to shift now to landing, and I'll show you some of these effects that come up only during landing, which is this touchdown, mains and front, and then there's the landing feedback from your co-pilot and from the cabin. So we'll review those when we land. Okay, so I guess 737 does not fly inverted. Okay. Okay, so we're about to land here at TNCM, and again, don't want you to focus on the landing. I want you to focus on the effects.
400.
I might intentionally bang it.
300.
Just demonstrate how the touchdown, mains and front effect sounds like
200.
and looks like.
100. Sync rate. 30, 20, 10.
That landing was butter.
I couldn't bang it, but anyway, you hear the braking sound. You saw the whole touchdown effect because I wasn't aligned with the runway, because I didn't degrab it enough. But you see how that affected the whole camera movement. Now again, it's a little bit exaggerated. Again, there's a lot you can tune in here. There's a lot you can tune in. There's also reverse thrust sounds if you want that low rumble and reverse thrust as well. That's something you can do. And then in touchdown, front and mains, you can tune a lot of stuff. You can tune the wobble how much up and down, side by side, forward, backward, tilt movements you get. There's a lot of tuning you can do, or you can just default everything and it works just fine. Just adjust the intensity to whatever you like it at. I like it at somewhere around 20. Maybe I'll reduce it to 15 after a few flights. I'm not sure, but you get the point. That's how the landing effects sound and look like. And by the way, while I was braking, you might have heard that sound of the whoosh while I was braking. That's basically this sound. I feel like that sounds realistic. I've heard that before. When airplanes are braking, that's what it sounds like. Maybe it's a little bit too loud. Maybe I can turn it to 10 and it'll sound better. But yeah, that was that. There's also cabin panic and cabin chatter. I believe I've shown you cabin panic, but not cabin chatter. Cabin chatter is basically just if you're in here in the cabin, you will hear this boarding and taxi, flight, deboarding sounds from the cabin, kids crying and stuff like that. You can also adjust babies on board, night activity, filter, how muffled it has to be. I'll let you hear that for a while.
Deboarding phase.
Yeah, so it sounds really nice, very high quality sounds. Again, you'll feel like you are actually in the cabin. But yeah, that is it for today's video about FSR Plus. I honestly really like the add-on, and I'm going to extensively use it in my videos, streams and shorts. You will see a lot more of it, a lot more of tuning and whatnot in the future videos. Stay tuned for that. Like I said before, like and subscribe, don't forget to do that please. That really helps the channel grow, and it also helps with my motivation to keep this channel going. Yeah, thanks a lot if you're still watching. I appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys on the next one.